Yep. Hills to the yeah. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
I'll try not to divert you anymore. I'll try to keep my
Yeah.
brain on
Look,
track.
you good. Hey, look, I think both of us are like the same when it comes to that shit. Like just and I think it's awesome because we go here, we go there, and we're good everywhere we go, right? So
Yep.
it doesn't
And it's
it doesn't
real.
matter really. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, welcome to the BeMoHappy Show, the podcast that's all about boosting your happiness and helping you navigate life's challenges. I'm your host, Morris Mo Chasson, and I'm excited that you're here and being a part of this new season, Resilience Revolution. We'll be deep diving into the power of resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, adapt to change, and thrive in the face of adversity. It's time to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and unlock your inner strength. We will be joined by experts, thought leaders, and everyday heroes who have faced life's curveballs head on and came out stronger. Together, we'll explore practical strategies, share inspiring stories, and equip you with tools not just to survive, but to thrive in the midst of life's storms. So whether you're going through a tough time, seeking personal growth, or just looking for a daily dose of inspiration, join us in Resilience Revolution. Get ready for a season of empowerment, insight, and a whole lot of joy. This is the BeMoHappy Show. The Resilience Revolution starts now. Today, I have a great honor of hosting my friend Erin Stable. She's an intuitive medium, Akashic, and spiritual mentor. And she's just an incredible person. I adore this lady so much. She's incredible, has good energy. She's always willing to help people too. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about this lady. So, Erin, how are you doing today?
I know. Sometimes I think about that, and it's like it's a fucking curse, and it's like, it's just been who I've always been, and like the resilience, like we're talking about, like I learned to survive life at a young age. Survive and push through. I think I was 12. I remember literally telling myself, like, and maybe it was spirit and I just didn't know it at that time, because I was 39 before I started working like intentionally with spirit. But I just remember hearing in my mind, like, and it was very forceful. You need to make a choice. Are you going to succumb and like end up with addiction and just letting life suck you up? Or are you going to like persevere and push through? Did I really know what that meant? Not really, but from then on, every single day I just pushed forward. And I didn't really know or understand I learned to self-sacrifice at a young age and help others because I didn't get help in return. And when you take out that caveat of, like yesterday we talked about the give to get, I grew up only giving, because if I hoped or wished for something in return, love, connection, whatever it was, like it always fell short of what I was hoping for or the reality of what it was. So I learned to just give and help others and not, you know what I mean? Like not ever expect anything in return. So if I got something, it felt pretty good. You know what I mean? But like that resilience, that survival, like I like to call it kicks in. I had to be resilient and like fight for myself my entire life against my mom, against, the school system, against all of that stuff. Even if it's hard and you're just like, fuck it. You know what I mean? It's like, what is the option though? Like, you can't lay in bed all day. You got kids, you got responsibilities. Like, you literally can't just lay in bed all day. Like, it's just not an option. So, do you fake it some days? Yeah. Like some days you just got to get through. Now on my spiritual journey, do I fake it? No, some days today I drove around a little bit and I was like, fuck, I'm just feeling it today. Like, fuck it. I felt like crying a little bit and I was like, just kind of a rough time, and it's like, allow yourself to have that, like, and then I'm like, okay, what do we got to do about it? You know what I mean? So it's trying not to let the difficult or the hard times be the driver of your bus. Like, shit happens. Shit happens to everybody. But it's not, I like to say it's the 80-20. 80% of your day, you got to be in a decent space. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being fake. It's about being in a decent place 80% of your day. And the other 20%, you can fucking flip people off and be like, I hate that bitch. No, I'm going to block her or whatever. Like, you can have those emotions and the feelings and the negativity, but I don't live in the negative space anymore. And that's the big difference,
Big difference in your whole life, your whole perspective, and just everything really. Because I get that. It's weird how all that shit happens, in programming. And speaking of crying, I hadn't cried in I don't know how long, right? and they had this video of the prime minister of New Amsterdam or something like that, this little 21-year-old. Have you seen that video?
Uh-uh.
My God, like she starts singing like their, I don't know, this
Anthem or
little,
whatever.
yeah, and like I watched it, I was like, oh my God, like this girl, like I felt like connected to her in a sense, like we know each other, like we family. You my
Soul
people.
connection. You got a past
Yeah.
life cord.
you know, you know
That's
what I
where the
mean?
past life energy comes in.
Yeah. So it was like so cool for me because like I was like, man, like so I was so pumped up. So the more and more I watched that video, like I like because of the passion and the all that good stuff, like it just like I just started crying. I was like crying. And I was like, what the fuck am I crying for? I hadn't cried in like a year or 2 years. Like what the where like how? So like and I messaged my wife, I was like, babe, I'm fucking watching this video right here. Like I sent her the video and I'm like, and I'm fucking like crying like a baby right now. But I like that video, like I swear I could still watch that video and like absolutely love it. I'm gonna share it with you later on. I
So
think
think
it's
about it
fucking
like that.
incredible.
It's like her singing is like sound healing. You know what I mean? Like sound and vibration is very healing. So, and it's the weirdest thing, but am I like uber American and blah, 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 like it's the country. It's where I live. I appreciate it. But if I hear like the national anthem, it gives me the full body goosebumps and I can't explain it. You know what I mean? And am I partial to like live singers or anything like that? 100% no. But so you got to think like if her voice and her energy really matches like her passion for her country and what she does, then you got to think like sound healing, the bowls, the vibrations in the megahertz, and like it can be very activating. So like if you have a very strong response to somebody like that, it's most likely it's a past life cord or tie. Like you're like, I don't know how I know this bitch, but holy fuck, like it just, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm. I
and
got
sometimes
I
if you see
I
Stonehenge or Egypt, like it's that connection. Like
mhm.
you just know that there's something more than just like, oh, she really inspires me.
Yeah, yeah, and look, it's so wild because like I wanted to like message her, like follow her, message her, hey, look, but then I was like, I can't do that shit because I like that's kind of creepy-ish, and like she'd be like, who the fuck are you? No, get the fuck off my shit.
Or she'd be like, that's really, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I guess. Hey, look, you never know if you never try, right? For me, like it's inspiring just to see that faith and that passion in her face. It's just and singing that
Well, and it's
chant.
cool that she's providing that to her country too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
21 years
it's
old.
a it's a big thing to like have that passion and energy. And look at none of our presidents sing you know what I mean? Like none of our presidents, besides trying to swing their big dicks around and look cool and piss
Man,
in corners, like they don't do anything. You know what I mean? Like they say whatever they can say to get the power and the prestige.
yeah, them old motherfuckers. Like, I was bitching to my wife the other day about that shit. Like, you should not be able to be a president over 60. You know what I'm saying? And you shouldn't
Hmm.
be in the fucking Senate like past 65.
Can you appreciate people
Yeah.
with wisdom and knowledge? Yes, but should people who are like 75 be making decisions for people who are 20, where you don't have to go to a 4-year college anymore? Like you don't have to do the shit even we had to do. When I'm 25 years in marketing and design, I have 2 college degrees. Back in the 25 years ago, you had to have a fucking bachelor's degree to get an interview. And did that bachelor's degree make my wage go up? Fuck no. Not an
Hmm.
ounce, but you still had to have it to even like
Yeah.
interview. And kids,
Yeah. Which is
luckily, they don't have to
crazy.
have that anymore. But some
Yeah.
dude who's 75 sitting on the fucking piano, like, is he really doing a service to like the younger people coming up today? No,
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
It's
a
wild.
political person. I don't put very much energy into it, but I
Me
don't think
neither.
it's,
Because I think the energy is the most important thing in your world.
yep.
If you give up that energy to toxicity or negativity, you just
You just get sucked back into that old space. You know what I mean? And I'm very intentional with boundaries, energetic boundaries, human boundaries, spirit boundaries. And that's one thing that I teach as well. Like, man, the number one thing that can change your life, even if you don't want to be a healer or an intuitive, like we talked about yesterday, energy protection, clearing, setting your intentions for the day and having boundaries for the day, and in general, like how are you going to allow people to treat you? If you're going to give your energy, you need to get something in return. Like, you know what I mean? Like you need to start creating some boundaries for yourself, because if you are, the energy vampire, or you are the person that, you know, the energy vampire is dumping. If you're the dirty energy sponge, because everybody gets to dump everything off on you, they walk away feeling better and you feel like fucking shit. You know, that's your problem. You're
Mm-hmm.
allowing people to do that to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, your intuitive journey, your boundaries, your how you're allowing people to treat you or continue to treat you, or, you know, whether it's your job or whatever. Like, no, you can't always just quit your job. But, you know, if you know you're being treated like shit, you can't keep sticking it out. Like,
No, absolutely
you
not.
know, it's destructive and
It's like a
it's
bad
hard as
relationship.
fuck. And I mean, it
Fuck
takes a
that,
lot
you
of
know?
healing to recover. Like, it's been a year and I'm still, you know, trying to recover from that 10.5 years at my last place. So I think
That's
COVID
on
really
you.
pushed that for people too. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
they stopped doing, and they started being like, dude, I don't like this. I don't want to drive 2 hours a day to work. I don't, you know what I mean? There was a lot
Yeah.
of like shifts. Like, maybe people took jobs with lesser paying, you know what I mean? And just made shifts. They wanted more time with their family or free time, or, you know, it was a big like perspective shift for people, I think.
A spiritual person like you, I know that it's hard to like express that to people because people kind of shun down upon that kind of stuff. So like what do you think kept you being real with yourself and being authentic? Just keep showing up like you do. Like what is it that gives you that strength?
For me, it's really allowing myself to be me. I'm not for everybody. I know that. I swear a lot. Like, if you want to be mentored by me, you're going to have weird jokes. The other day in class, we were talking about, you know, how many times we've accidentally shit our pants. Like, if you can't handle those types of conversations, I am not the person for you. But the reality is, you know, it's really just about
And
being
your
who
truth.
I am. But
Hmm.
as my gifts and abilities grow, really allowing my power to be, I've never ever been a bragger or putting myself forward, or I'm really good at this, or like, it's just not who I am. I have always just tried to blend in and stay safe. And now that I'm not trying to do that anymore, you know, it's like, okay, how do I feel confident in what I'm talking about? And, you know, I know that my work as a healer, intuitive medium, past life, whatever, healer, clear, you know, mentor is really fucking powerful. And that's something I'm struggling with talking about, like, in the social media world, like what I do for people and how I help people and how I mentor. They're like, oh my God, like, I did a womb healing and clearing for a girl, one of my students the other day. And she's like, you need to offer this. And you're like, how powerful it was and what she told me about in her experience, as, you know, it's like, it's so fucking powerful, but it's like, we're so used to cutting ourselves down and holding ourselves back that it's a process to like talk about what you do in a powerful way. Like, you have to feel it. You do have to feel the power of what you do. And then you have to be able to talk about it. And then you have to feel confident about it. Like, there's a process to like building up to, you know, the
Yeah.
fucking how powerful you really are. And, you know,
Hmm.
and that's kind of part of how I mentor too. Like, I don't ever let my students cut themselves down. They'll be like, you know, and I'm like, no, fuck no, we're not saying that. Absolutely not. We're taking that fucking out of your vocabulary. Say it again. And I literally will make them do that in class. Like, no, because I really make them focus on the reprogramming, because I'm doing that a lot for myself. If I catch myself saying something shitty, something negative, no. And I replace it and I make my students replace it. No, we're not doing that, you know? And me
Yeah.
forcing them to do it like helps them have that awareness. And, you know, and yeah, and it's I'm doing it for myself as well. And I make my kids do, like, it's like, no, you need to catch yourself when you are berating yourself, holding yourself back, you know, because if you really don't understand the full power of what you do and what you bring, it's hard for you to talk about it. It's hard for you to exude it. It's hard for you to
Hmm.
prove it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I think
Definitely.
it's a process, I think, to lean into it, to feel it, to connect with it. Like, there's just so many like layers of it, you know, uh and I think that's just part of the resilience too, like learning yourself and how powerful you really are and bragging about it. Like, and if people don't like that you're bragging, fucking block them. Who gives a shit? They are not your people. If they are not on your back cheerleading for you, they are not the right people. They should not be in your life. Either right
Hmm.
now in the moment or at all. Like, you know, that's part of your boundaries. Are you letting people hold you back? Spouse, partner, friends, you know, coworkers, brothers, sisters, children, even, like, are you letting other people hold you back from, you know, exuding your power and putting it out there? Like, how much are you going to let other people hold you back, you know?
Right. You know, that's something like even just with learning your strengths and being able to magnify those strengths, I think, and I hate this, but sometimes we need that outside validation to prove it, right? And it's like where we know it deep inside, but we still need outside validation of some sort to prove it for us too. And I don't like that. I wish that there was a way that 100% you know who the fuck you are and you know what you bring, right? But something you I guess you still have to prove it, right?
It I
Is
think
it
for me
proven?
that has gotten better over time. So, especially with intuitive work, connecting with spirit, like sometimes spirit brings through shit that the people aren't quite ready for. Let's say it like that. So they'll be like, I don't know about that. I've never seen a picture. I don't know who that is. I don't whatever it is. I don't specifically do mediumship readings. If a loved one or whatever comes in and with whatever we're doing, that's what happens. But I'm not like Teresa Caputo. Like my focus is not to talk to your grandma. If your grandma comes in, that's what happens. But one thing I always tell people that I work with, especially through sessions, is this might not make sense to you for days, weeks, or months. So there is no validation for me in that space until 3 or 4 months later. 3 weeks later, oh my God, I was at my mom's looking at this box of pictures, and here's that picture you were talking about. Here's that car. Here's my grandpa doing this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that's
I'll
cool.
say for me on like this kind of the spiritual journey and the validation of spiritual, you know what I mean, what's happening, what's coming through, is it is not, and spirit will tell me, and maybe that's part of it too for me now, is I know how to ask the right questions to, to understand. They're not going to get this, like, so I always tell people spirit will always tell me like they need 6 to 8 weeks to integrate this, which really means they need time to process it, to mentally and physically catch up to their soul. When we're clearing your soul, this life, past lives, but your mind and your body need time to catch up to your soul. Your soul is immediate. Your mind and your body take a little bit more. So there's processing time. So I
Mhm.
guess in my practice, I'm a lot of times when I clear, it is immediate and instant. But a lot of the other stuff, the homework, this is the coming, this is what you need to do to continue or whatever, some of that stuff takes time. And sometimes
Yeah.
people will message me months later, like, oh my God, do you remember? And I'm kind of like, nah, no. A lot of
Mhm.
times when I channel, I don't remember.
Mhm.
But they're like, you said this, remember? And or they'll send it and it's like, oh, but you know what I mean? That
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting validation at some point, but
Yeah.
I guess for me now, I don't seek it nearly. When in the beginning, I did. I think I practiced on like 50 people a week, like intuitive and mediumship, um, and in the beginning, I think I did need it, because when you're connecting with spirit, it's a whole fucking Wild West game. It's like, why are you telling me this? What do you do with it? But that's where the development and the learning. Why are they bringing me this? What do I do with it? How do I understand it? Why are you showing me some random scene from a movie? Like, you have to learn how to communicate with spirit. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of part of the process. And your spirit guides, even your loved ones. But I guess for me, so now I don't seek validation as much. It is what it is. Like when they're ready, it'll make sense. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
and then I hear from them. Like I just don't. And I think that's part of my healing journey is, you know, I don't need it. And in my last position, I remember I had a kind of tete a tete with my boss, and he's like, "Why do you need my validation?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're my boss. Like, if you don't appreciate what I'm doing, what the fuck am I doing here?" But it really, because I literally had that conversation with him a day before I had my knee replacement, and it really made me think, because I was on my spiritual journey then, and it really made me think, like, why do I need his validation? You know what I mean? Like,
I
aside from
don't.
getting a paycheck, like, I really, you know what I mean? So it really made me start looking at that validation process, in a
Mhm.
different way, like, and kind of exploring that. So that's part of your healing journey, in that validation. Why do you need it? Why do you need it? You know what I mean? If you know, it
You know?
should start with from within.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just curious because I think sometimes, even I struggle with that validation stuff, but then the other part of me is like, I don't need no motherfucker trying to tell, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't need nobody to tell me. I already know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And in a sense, like it kind of comes off as I don't know, arrogant sometimes, or it could be confidence. Like it's hard. That's a very thin line, I think. That humble and that arrogance type. And me, I prefer. I prefer to be looked at as arrogant if that's how people look at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at least I know I'm confident. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I don't know.
I mean, because sometimes humble can be looked at as like being walked all over. Like, oh, they're
Yeah.
so, you know what I mean? And it's not a
Hmm.
bad thing, but I definitely don't like operating in that space anymore. Like, I'm
Yeah.
done like depleting myself for others. Like, no,
I,
like, no,
I think humble keeps people playing small
it
because
does. It keeps you in
because
your safe zone, you know?
yeah, yeah, and you kind of cares too much about what people think. And I'm speaking that from experience
That's a
myself.
true
You know,
unhealed, like, that's really how spirit always shows it to me is, like, they've not healed nearly enough, or they need to do a
yeah.
lot more healing, you know what I mean? Like,
Like I kind of cringe whenever somebody says that they're humble because
ugh.
a humble person doesn't say that
Kinda
they're
like when they
humble.
say they're
You
Christian, it's
know.
like, "Oh, Bible beater." When if you say you're a good Christian, I fucking red flag know that you are a pervert, a pedophile, a beater, a weirdo, like, if you say you're a good Christian, people that have to prove being a good Christian, they are straight up the shadiest motherfuckers you will ever meet, bar none. You say I'm a good Christian to me, I'm
That
I'm
is
out. I'm out.
hilarious. That is
Like, you're the
hilarious.
weirdest of the weird. If we looked at your internet history, there's all kinds of weird stuff in there. There's no hiding it. I don't care who you are. Like,
That is
good
so funny.
Christians is literally should be the number one Wikipedia entry for run.
That's so funny.
Shady motherfucker is pretty much the number one Wikipedia entry is what it should be for a good Christian. Lover of
Listen,
God, Christian, but good Christian. It's the good Christian. Them's the like, ooh,
stay away from.
what is that song? As soon as you hear that little intro, you're like, run, and you're just like, do it, run.
Yeah,
Good
yeah, right,
Christian. It's a
right.
trigger word. Good Christian.
It's funny. I kind of cringe at sometimes whenever I see a post on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, and somebody's basically like, "Oh God, please come and save me," like get me out of this funk that I'm in or whatever. And I'm like, bro, like nobody's gonna save you. You know what I
No.
mean?
God's are
It's
always
just
there
you,
supporting you, but he can't do it for you. He
right?
gave us free will. And
Hmm.
that's something we got to remember. And that's something I've asked God about a lot. Like, why did you create pedophiles? Why did you create perverts? He goes, I created humans. I gave
Hmm.
you life. I gave you free will. What you do with it is your choice. I'm like, dude, but shouldn't you just wipe us all out and start over? Because it feels like we're real shitty. And
Hmm.
he's, and he's just like, you have free will. He goes, you can choose. Says, what about that poor child that comes up, and how God always says it to me is, yeah, but what does he do out of that life? He chooses to overcome or he chooses to succumb. Like, it's a choice, and everything comes down to a choice. And it's a choice. And I always say your healing is you have to take radical responsibility for your healing. Whatever's been done to you, whatever has been, done to you without choice, without whatever, like, it doesn't matter. As an adult, are you going to allow what has happened to you win, or are you going to choose to fucking do what you need to do for you to heal? And that means
Facts.
finding what works for you. For me, it
Right,
was
right.
meditation, therapy, acupuncture, medication. Those things did not work. There was not one lasting result from any of that shit I did for over 20 years. Not one until my spiritual journey. Meditation, processing my shit, bringing it back up, letting it resurface, figuring it out. I created my own process. I call it soul mapping. There's a deep process to start processing shit. Like, I don't stuff it down. I process it when it fucking happens. I'm getting triggered. I'm getting upset. Okay, what am I supposed to do about this? Why is it coming up? Like,
Yes,
you
absolutely.
no longer let it stuff it down, and,
Hmm.
and spirit's like, you can't stuff it down anymore. So, the more you stuff it down, the less you're going to be able to connect with us. So on my journey, if I started stuffing down or not processing, they stopped communicating with me. And I was like, fuck. So it was kind of like, give to get. Like, the more that I processed and healed, the more spirit gave me. And the faster it was and the easier it was. So, you know, and I wanted the connection with spirit and the freedom, the mental freedom and the soul and the body freedom to not be 24/7 negative and panic and anxiety ridden. And like, it is so fucking freeing. It's hard to describe. And that's why I turned around and do it for a living. I know it's my purpose. I know it's what I'm supposed to do. It
Yeah,
completely changed my life, but nobody did it for me. It's an action and a choice I make every single day, and some days are
right.
harder than others. And it's kind of like the resilience. Like, some days fucking you feel like, well, I can remember somebody was asking me the other day. I was like, I feel like I got thrown into the fucking automatic car wash. Like, that's just where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's not a hot wax or a blow dry system. It is straight up the hard brushes, and it's really fucking me over. But I'm still going. You know what I mean? I'm still moving through. Like, it's this just where, I don't know. You have to make a choice. You have to make a
Hmm.
choice every day. Are you choosing you, or are you choosing, you know what I mean? Everything
Yeah.
else, or your
Hmm.
pain or your trauma. Like, what are you choosing? Where do you want to be? How are you going to get there? Like, doesn't fucking matter who's in your life, how great your partner is, whatever. Like, you have to be the one to fucking be in charge of your bus. Nobody
Yep.
can do it for you.
That is so true, man. I wish more and more people truly understood that on that level where, you know, to free themselves basically, because
Hmm.
I don't know. I just hate to see people trapped sometimes.
It is. And it's hard. And it's hard to like tell people that, like, it's a choice, and it's a choice every day. And,
Hmm.
bad relationships, bad whatever, like, you know, figure it out, get out of it. So how spirit always brings it to me and how I see it in a lot of people is, it's so much easier to stay stuck because a lot of people don't know what is it like to be without chronic pain. And I had this in a client not too long ago. Literally, Jesus was holding him in his lap and he was sending her healing. I was sending her healing. Angels were sending her healing. I couldn't break through. Like, I could not break through. I was like, fuck, I don't know what else to do because like the amount of hold she had on the physical and pain in her body and everything else, it was this life and past life. It was fucking crazy. I've never been not been able to like penetrate before. Well, that sounds weird. Not right. Not penetrate, but like
You
energetically.
good? I
And
got
then
you. I
it
got
finally started to like resist it, like break through. And I was like, finally, I finally started to feel it. Like, and she was sitting in Jesus' lap and she's like, oh my God. Like, and she physically felt it. And I knew she felt it because Spirit's showing it to me and I feel it, but it was like, a lot of times we don't know who we are without our tragic stories, without our trauma, without the shit we've been through, without shit that's been done to us, or that, you know, the circumstance of whatever situation, we don't know who we are without it. So is it safer to go and create the life, that you want and experiment and try? Or is it safer to stay miserable and unhappy because at least we know what that's like? Maybe, your partner makes a lot of money, but he's a real fucking asshole. Is it better to go and struggle and have a fucking studio apartment and have freedom and do what you want? Fuck yeah. But it's getting yourself to that space of, what is life really like and open to the possibilities. And that's what manifesting is all about and all of that stuff. It's, you don't need to know how, what, when, where, or why, and that's what you just give over to spirit. But it's a process, like, to know that there's so much more available and open to you. But we get
you.
really stuck in that space of, can I really have that? Am I allowed? Am I deserving? Am I worthy? Whatever trauma stories we have of our whole life, I've always been poor,
Yeah.
I'll always be poor, or, whatever it is, it's your desire to have something different has to be greater than your need to stay safe. And a lot of times the safety wins.
Yeah. God, you're so spot on with that, Aaron. Like it's just simply a choice, you know. Just
I know. And sometimes it
your
sounds harsh,
mindset,
but it's like,
It's the truth
it's
though,
the reality. And sometimes
And
people, no
it's
fucking ashwagandha, no fucking, frog venom or ayahuasca fucking retreat is going to heal your shit. It's not going to
mhm,
happen. Like, there is no fucking magic pill. There is no, aside from processing the shit that you've fucking been through, dealing with it, facing it in a way that feels safe and comfortable to you, but progressive and forward moving, you know, it's fucking always going to be it's like putting low jack on your fucking car, or, putting the fucking whatever that big old yellow thing is that you can't move it. It's like, well,
mhm.
you know,
One more question,
yeah.
and this is not nothing about resilience, so say you do have like some past traumas or whatever, and like you honestly really don't know about those traumas, but you decide to live a life to where like, you know what, like my past does not define me. Like I am here, I am now, and I'm just gonna be me, be I'm just gonna be basically, right? How do you prevent like instances where like it would remind you of of something from the past like that, even though you kind of choose to live in the moment here right now?
So, how I like to describe it is our traumas, the shit that we've been through in this life and past lives, it never goes away. It's a part of you, it's part of your DNA, it's part of who you are. But when you are truly healing, you're never fully healed. If somebody says they're fully healed, they're full of fucking shit. You are going to, when you begin your healing journey, you will heal the rest of your life. I did
Yeah,
not
yeah.
get fucking traumatized, at the age of 39. I was traumatized until the age of 39. That shit ain't just going to erase. So the reality is, as you actually begin to truly heal on the soul level, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional self, what happens is we still get triggered, but now I have a process like, okay, that's really pissing me off. And it reminds me of that time in first grade, or, that time, blah, 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 blah. That is not coming up to punish you. It's coming up to be like, hey, you're being triggered because so-and-so is treating you the same way that so-and-so used to treat you. So it's more of a recognition, and it's kind of that red flag, like, you need to do something about this.
Okay.
Don't let it fester and don't stuff it down. It doesn't mean that you haven't healed through or cleared or done the work. It's not that at all. And some of our stuff is so deep, it comes up in layers. So as we are mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally prepared to deal with what's coming up, this got the goosebumps on my face. I have a new guide coming in, so I haven't quite figured out that he keeps,
Goosebumps on your face.
yeah, he
That's
keeps doing
cool.
this to me. Like, I have a beard, but he keeps going like this to my face. So he's telling me that something, there's something with that. So the reality is that if you're on your journey and you're truly healing and letting go and processing, if you get triggered or something upsets you, and you get the emotion or the fear or the doubt or the worry, then they're showing like some type of a relationship. So let's say you have relationships where, all of my relationships before my husband, that I had been cheated on. So, you know,
Oh, sorry to hear that,
uh,
man.
you I was like, I'm not allowing or accepting that. And even back then, I was like, no, I want somebody I can trust, that I can have children with, that I can rely on. You know what I mean? And it was like, I just threw it out to the universe, and I didn't accept it or allow it anymore. But let's say you're somebody with relationships, and you're breaking up, you're getting over a bad one, you're actually on your healing journey, you're starting to feel confident about yourself, and then as your energy shifts, you start really attracting the right people, the right clients, the
Mm-hmm.
right, so then you might meet somebody, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have that connection, but I remember that connection. It's always good in the beginning. It's always, so it's kind of that trigger for you. Like, well, it's always great in the beginning. Sex is always fun, and it's always exciting, and the butterflies, and then it turns bad, and that's a trigger. That's your red flag warning system. Like, hey, bitch, be careful, because this is what always happens. But that's where you have to learn to have some type of a process for yourself. No, why is it coming up? Is this a rational thought? Am I just getting a bad feeling? Is spirit trying to warn me? Are they really that bad and I'm just not seeing it? Like, you have to dig into whatever it is. And that for me was the whole power in my healing. Is now I ask a lot of questions. Why is this coming up? What is my role and responsibility? Did I do something to actually provoke that action? Am I accepting relationships where I shouldn't be? Or, am I not feeling confident enough in attracting somebody that I deserve, or whatever it is, however you're being triggered now, or if it's an event that happens to you and you don't have a choice, whatever it is, you process it, you dig into it. And even if you can't in that moment, write it down on a fucking post-it note, put it on your phone, I don't care. But you need to go back in that day later, in the next day or two, and dig into it. And you need to I always connect with spirits. That's who I work with. So God, spirit, universe, whoever, it's always my main guide, and sometimes my mom, but sometimes it's God, sometimes it's whatever. But it's like, why is this happening? What was this event? What do I need to understand? What do I just need to clear it? Is it a warning? Like, and you just really create that system for yourself. Of It's kind of like your checklist system, and it's this process that you can create, and that's the best part about having a mentor, somebody like you, somebody like me. Like, we already know what to do, so we get you there faster. Can you do it on your own? Yes. Is it harder? Yes. I'm a super fucking driven, motivated individual, so that's just who I am. But, that's why we have mentors, to get us somewhere faster, to help
Absolutely.
us heal and to clear and to move forward, but if you're on your healing journey and you're really healing and you get triggered, it's not because you haven't healed, or, and it's not dragging you back and putting you back in that place. It's like, okay, why is this coming up? What do I need to do about it? Like, you know what I mean? And it's really that
Just to learn.
awareness, that
Mm-hmm.
process, instead of going down into the negative, oh my God, you're going like, okay, what's here? What's up? What do I need to do? And it's
Mm-hmm.
it's really taking that responsible role. Like, okay, did I allow myself to get into another relationship where I'm not valued, or, are they having a bad day or whatever? It doesn't matter what it is, but it's really about finding and creating a process of, you know, processing, creating a
Mm-hmm.
process where you're processing whatever it is. But, and that's where, people working like people with you and me, like, it's people like us help you get to that shit a lot faster and figure it out and pinpoint it.
I think you couldn't have said it better. Like, I think everybody needs somebody or somebody they could talk to, whether it's a coach, mentor, a friend, mom, sister, whoever, but somebody that could understand and help you in that journey, not somebody that's really just gonna listen. And look, sometimes people just want somebody that's gonna listen.
Mhm.
But me, I'm a problem solver. Like if you telling me something, we're gonna fix the fucking problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like me and my wife were talking about that the other day. She was like, "Babe, you ever think that sometimes people just want to talk?" I said, "I don't care. I'm a fucking problem solver. If they want to talk, I'm not the one for them just to talk to because we got to fix the problem." So
Yep. And that one's a harder one for me too, because I'm the same. I'm like, don't come to me unless you're wanting a fucking solution. Like, I'm not a sit back and like watch the waves just hit the beach. But it is one thing that I've had to like ask spirit about, kind of, because there is a few people in my life I know for sure they don't want, they just want, you know what I mean? Like, so I've kind of learned to not give much in that way. Maybe, I don't know the right way to say it. Not that I'm not giving or loving or respectful, but a lot less of me, trying to help, and it's just, but it's just kind of a practice that I've had to learn. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
um
it's kind of to sit back in a sense. Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes I just ask spirit, but more, it's really more of a feeling that I get from their soul. They're very like everything I say, they're very resistant. So it's kind of like, okay, but that's a practice, that's a skill that I've developed. And instead of kind of keep trying to push, it's like I know that their soul's like, no, I don't want it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like
Right.
it's just something that's very easy for me to know and understand now.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, you know what? So I stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
Hmm.
stop and I just kind of listen, and which is kind of hard for me, honestly. Sometimes I kind of start zoning out if I'm not like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Maybe it's kind of mean. I don't know, but
No, no, no,
it's,
no. I get it because at that point, like you're like, there's nothing I could really say that's gonna fucking like for you that you're gonna understand and like run with because at
yep.
this point, like they're almost like checked out in a sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah.
It's like they
And
just want to be like like when it's really weird. They're showing this at the park when I grew up, there was this tennis board where you could just hit, you know what I mean? Like you just hit the ball and it comes back to you. Like that's what they're kind of showing with that. Like some people
yeah,
just want the backer board. They just want to throw their balls in your face. And then, they don't really want anything. They just want to be able to talk about, you know what I mean? So I guess now I know, like, it's very much an energetic soul thing that gets kicked back to me. Like, they're not receptive. They're not taking any of this in. So don't waste your time. Like, don't waste your energy
yeah.
trying to solve or give, because either they're not
They're
in a
not
place
ready.
where they can receive it, or
Hmm.
they just, they're just whatever it is. Like, now it's very quick for me to like really lean into that feeling, but it's taken a little bit, like, oh, like that's what that is, so, it's part of the practice.
Well, Erin, where can people find you?
Yeah. So my website is vintagemoons.com. And then on Facebook, I think it's Erin Stabley is kind of my main profile that is. I do have Vintage Moons Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, all of those. Pretty much Erin Vintage Moons. I'm more active lately on just my regular Facebook page and TikTok. I'm trying to also not spend so much time on social media. I don't know. Not I'm watering down, but I'm trying to be more selective with where I'm putting myself, and just try to really give myself way more free time. And but you can always go through the website. I have free clearings on my website. You can try an Akashic session free on my website. There's different free resources. If you're curious, if you have questions, whatever, you're always welcome to just message me. And um, you know, I have sessions and programs and lots of different things available. So
That's cool. I think anybody that works with you and even knows you and talks to you is should consider themselves lucky because I sure do, and I appreciate you a lot. I think you're an amazing person. I love your energy. I love everything that you're doing, and I love your resilient attitude to just go, 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 no matter what. I love that about you.
same. I know, and it's because when we first started kind of chatting, you hadn't really done the speaking, and I'm like, you did, I was pushing you. I was like, no, let's just do it. Let's just speak. You just gotta, and you're just like, no, I don't know. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
you
that
know what I mean? It's like, look at you now, like this is where you're at, and you're so much more confident and comfortable speaking. Even when we would speak like just on Zoom and not like going to be somewhere, like you were still hesitant, and so it's really cool that you. Because I think I pulled a card for you last week where I was like, "Oh, it's big state." You know what I mean? Like spirit will show me, like, if you're starting to be in the energy of who you are, and like exude that power, like we were talking about, like they're kind of showing like you on the big stages and doing that big stuff. So it's cool. I think it's cool when we get to meet people on our journey, and we actually get to like foster and help each other, and it's cool to
Yeah,
witness our growth and our shifts. And yesterday we're like, next year we're going to be talking about which
absolutely.
5-star hotel we're staying in, and this and
Absolutely.
that, and
Absolutely.
like having people to talk about with all of fucking entrepreneurship sucks balls. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care. It is hard as shit. So
Yeah,
having
yeah.
people that you can like be real and honest with, and it's a big part of the journey.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Erin, look, I appreciate you so much. I know I told you this yesterday, but I don't know if you really know how much. You probably never will know, and that's okay. But I really, really appreciate you. I think you're amazing. Thank you.
Same. And remember, next year we're gonna have great stories.
Thank you.
Bye.
Talk to you later.